Did you notice anything about last week's episode? It was an encore of our very first release from the Vault of Silliness. Good old episode 1. Since we're closing in on 250, I thought, why not? But it was a fresh edit, title, and notes. That episode was so ridiculous, I may repeat it every year. That moves us to this week, where we have a Norm Nathan show from July 23rd, 1995, which I've titled Astron-Normy. Like astronomy? Well, our guest was Bob Berman, author of Secrets of the Night Sky. At the time, he also wrote a column in Discover magazine called The Night Watchman and hosted a weekly broadcast on Northeast Public Radio. He talks all things astronomy in an easy-to-understand way. As fascinating an interview now as it was then. You know, I still have my copy of that book. We even take some calls. Woody on a car phone, Jim in Boston, John from Wellesley, Bob in his car, and Richard from Shrewsbury. We move on to hour 2, where Norm takes a variety of calls. John from Boca Raton, Connie in Melrose, Dawn, Steve from Melrose, we'll get back to that in a moment, Jane, Helen in Malden, Bill from Houghton Lake, Michigan, and Karen in Toledo, Ohio. The Steve from Melrose call was a special find here in the vault. A regular caller when he was in high school, he went on to pursue a career in the world of wrestling. We get an entertaining update from him here. My wonderful subscribers on Patreon got a sneak preview of that call. Just one of the perks of becoming a patron. Exclusive content and episode previews, among other silliness. Think about subscribing, won't you? During my close, we'll get to hear a familiar voice on a commercial, so stay tuned throughout. Episode 245, Astron-Normy, rockets its way to your ears in 3, 2, and 1.
Lift you up when you're down, Norm Nathan, on WBZ in Boston. Norm.
Yes, hello. We have an interesting man I'm going to talk with. I assume he's interesting since the book that he's written called Secrets of the Night Sky is interesting, and since he's done a whole lot of other interesting things. Anyway, I'm rambling on. His name is Bob Berman, and he is, I guess he can take the secrets of the sky and the universe and astronomy and all that and put them in layman's terms, and I really hope he can, because there's a whole area that I know just so little about. I go into this interview with great trepidation. But we'll talk with Bob and John. Good. I don't know. Wait till I ask you a few questions first before you say that. I'm looking at your picture in the book that you wrote, Secrets of the Night Sky, published by William Morrow. And also, you got a really major publisher and all that, and you look so convivial and young and smiling, and you're very much in love with your subject. So it's taken away some of the trepidation I have. It's an area I know so little about. I'm not even quite sure I know of any intelligent questions to ask you, although the book is written, I think, written beautifully, and it's aimed at louts like me, I think, who do know so little.
Well, thank you.
But you open up a whole lot of areas that are fun to know about. Anyway, you are director of the Overlook Observatory in Woodstock, New York, which is, I assume, where you are right now. Are you up in Woodstock?
That's right. We just had our thunderstorm pass through. It's on its way to you, I think.
Hey,
right now.
I'll be looking out the window, checking for it, and giving it a big New England welcome. And you write I'm telling you these things like you didn't know you did these, but obviously for people listening who say, who's Bob Berman? And how come he knows that much? He writes the Night Watchman column in Discover magazine, and has a weekly broadcast on Northeast Public Radio, which I assume must be carried here in Boston, but I'm not really sure about that.
No, I think it doesn't quite reach Boston. We reach western New England and New York State and up to the southern parts of Canada, and that's it. But I think it stops just short of Boston.
Well, shame on you and the entire system, if that be the case. The idea, I would guess, is for you to bring the excitement of astronomy and all of those things to a whole lot of people who normally would think that, I was going to say that it's way over our heads, which is a terrible analogy. I shouldn't phrase it quite that way. And you do in the book, I know, and you're going to have to help me a lot on this because it's a subject I don't know much about, but...
Well, sure, and most people don't. And the whole idea is many people think that you have to have a telescope or you have to work with star charts, and people hate that kind of thing. No, nobody wants to really have to learn the constellations or to find their way around the sky in order to see exciting things, and you don't. And that's really the whole purpose of the book, that there are so many exciting things to be seen with the naked eye, without fancy equipment, without really any knowledge of the sky.
And you divided it up into 4 seasons, and of course right now we're in the summer season. I was looking through that section. So there are different things to be seen, obviously, depending on what time of year it is. What do we, here's a really general question, but what do we look for now, for example, in the middle of July?
Well, right now we're starting with the summer meteors. Usually the Perseid meteor shower, which reaches its climax around August 11th, is the premier sky event of the year. We share space with pieces of debris, and any clear night will see one meteor or shooting star or falling star, as people call it, every 10 minutes or so. But during a meteor shower, it increases to about 1 per minute. And starting this week, the intensity of meteors increases. And this has been a rather dangerous area to live so far as meteors go, because a number of houses have been struck, property has been damaged. Gee, in the last 15 or 20 years, we've really had some vivid demonstrations that we're not alone in space, and these stones from space have been raining down on us, and we can see it for ourselves on a clear night.
Yeah, you were suggesting that people are about more than, these are your statistics, I guess, 6 times more likely to be killed by a meteor than in an airplane crash, and that's something you just never think of. I mean, can you get insurance against being killed by a meteor? That would be a funny claim to make.
I don't think so. Although nobody's actually ever been killed. Only one person has, well, that's not true. Last year I would have said one person in history has been struck by a meteor. A woman in Alabama in 1954 came through the roof of her house while she was relaxing on her couch, bounced off her radio, and hit her in the leg, not seriously injuring her, fortunately. But last year, on June 21st, almost exactly a year ago, a fellow and his wife on vacation in Spain had a meteor crash through the windshield of their car, and it broke his little finger. I wonder if he told I wonder if he used that as an excuse why he didn't come to work the next day. I wonder if his boss believed him.
I know, that's kind of wild. Yeah, wild elephants cut across the main highway and hit my car and then disappeared into the woods. It's kind of like that kind of an excuse. But now, see, when I think of a meteor, I think we all think of small things, and yet sometimes when they land on the soil, they create craters that are kind of huge. But meteors basically are not all that big.
That's right. Most of them are only the size of apple seeds. And most of them, although they streak across the night sky and they look so bright, are really just tiny things. A grape-sized meteor is very unusual, and almost invariably as well they turn into dust. So the Earth gets a few million tons heavier each year. We're all gaining a little bit of weight as we get older, and the Earth is doing the same thing. And again, we see this happen on any clear night. You don't even have to be in the country. Even from the city, you can see this pretty nicely. So this year, unfortunately, there'll be a full moon right at the time of maximum of the Perseid meteors. So this is not a great year to watch the summer meteors. So, and it will go on to other topics of things to look for, but the best time to see them is probably between now and about August 6th, because after that, even though the meteors get more plentiful, the moon gets brighter and washes out all but the brightest specimens.
It was an item, we'll get back to that in just a minute, and things to look for during the summer and all that, but was an item that came across our Associated Press wire just a few hours ago. The question was, is the summer half over, or is there half left to go? Experts say it depends on how you count the days as solar summer or holiday summer. This I know is piddling stuff to you, but I'm wondering about this. Under the National Weather Service definition, summer reached the halfway mark July 15th. The Weather Service defines summer as the complete calendar months of June, July, and August. Some forecasters say many people define summer the same way because of the school schedule. But then there are guys like you who look at it from a different angle. I would assume solar summer, based on astronomy, provides the longest official summer season with 95 days compared with 92 days in a conventional calendar summer. Solar summer began June 21st. I know that in some, in Australia, I guess, in some other parts of the world, the seasons begin on the 1st of the month rather than like they do here on the 21st. So I don't even know what question to ask you out of all of this. I don't know whether this even was worth mentioning.
Well, we do keep the cardinal directions for us, just as we have cardinal north, south, and east, west, are the 2 solstices and the 2 equinoxes. So we just use those arbitrarily as the dates. We say summer begins on the date of the longest days and when the sun is highest, and then it ends on the days when days and nights are equal. Of course, you're quite right, it doesn't match up to our warmest weather, to our vacation periods, to really anything that we follow in real life. But it does really match actual events in the sky. And that's sort of nice, because we're in an age these days where in most cities night is pretty synthetic. We don't really have a real night, and we don't really have holidays based on the moon anymore, except for Easter. And so a few remnants in our calendar of the from the old periods when we actually did use real astronomical events is kind of nice. I'm glad we do it that way.
Now, what did you mean? You said we don't really have nights anymore?
Well, we don't have night to speak of. Instead of night fully falling and it getting fully dark, and even letting our eyes get fully dark adapted, we only experience a level of darkness in today's cities that's about equal to mid-nautical twilight. Because of the presence of synthetic lights, instead of 6,000 stars of the night sky, for example, we see about 300. The northern lights and the Milky Way has been gone since about the 1930s from, say, Boston or New York City. And but, of course, just go 10, 15, 20 miles outside of town, and there they are again.
Yeah, no, because I live out in the country, and it is true. I mean, it's so different, and we do have nights, and we have seasons. I think in the city they don't even have seasons. It's, I mean, I know it snows, and it gets colder in the wintertime, and all of that, but you don't see the subtleties of changes, the dogwoods and the skunk cabbage and all that coming up, and that kind of thing. In the cities, I think people who live in cities miss everything. What kind of a town is Woodstock? Are you pretty much out in the country? Is that the same Woodstock as the music festival and all?
Yep. My own home and our observatory. We have an observatory near here and it's really outside of Woodstock. We're between Woodstock and the town of Saugerties. But yes, it's very much in the country. The skies are still pretty dark here, and we're right in the Catskill Mountains. So yes, this is still country, and we still get seasons here.
Okay, now a lot of people say there's a full moon out tonight. I hear that a lot because people say, boy, the phone calls you're getting tonight are really idiotic, more so than usual. And, I mean, and there's a full moon, and they sort of tie in the two, and I suspect you do not. But does the full moon, does it have an effect, like on surgery? Some doctors say they won't operate when there's a full moon because the patients bleed too much, all that.
We don't think so. All the studies, and there have been a fair amount of studies on this, have shown that there really is no correlation between the things that people claim there are. For example, crime, menstrual periods, births, in maternity room, physicians and nurses have always told me, and this is prevalent in the literature, that they see it. They're sure it exists, that births increase at around the time of full moon and decrease at other phases. But it doesn't happen. Actuarial tables, for example, tells us that births are evenly scattered randomly around the lunar month. There are more births in September than in other parts of the year, showing that humans perhaps have a fertility cycle based on seasons, or maybe it's just that those long, what would it be, December or January nights maybe have some influence on us, but nothing with the lunar month, no. So what we're left with is why do we perceive these links to the moon that aren't there? And there's no question the moon affects tides and marine life, and maybe even some things we don't know about. It does affect the weather. These are recent discoveries. but it doesn't have the influences that people attribute to it. I think the reason is simply that we observe the full moon, we notice the full moon. It's the only phase that's out all night long. And most people will call the moon full when it's actually quite a bit out of round. And if a person sees a full moon, they go to work, and let's say they're a nurse or a physician at a maternity wing, notice a lot of births by chance that night, they'll make the connection. They'll say, and the whole place will be buzzing with, aha, I knew it, full moon. But if they don't notice a full moon, or if there isn't a full moon and there are a lot of births, they just don't think about the matter at all. They make no connection one way or the other. So over time, there's a link, there's a reinforcement between the idea of more births and the full moon.
I think also, I wonder if there's not a tie-in with very primitive tribes who are very superstitious about things and you know, didn't understand nature at all and began tying everything in with what was happening. I was thinking of thunder and lightning. The gods are unhappy with us, and so he's making it rain and thunder and lightning. Whether that isn't some of that just still left over. And we see, you know, Frankenstein movies and all that kind of stuff where the moon becomes a very ominous kind of thing.
Yeah.
Maybe deep down we'd like to be superstitious and like to believe that there are all kinds of mysterious things happening that we don't know about.
Yeah.
And guys like you kind of reveal that it's not so, and you spoil it for us. We can't be kids again, living in an ignorant, childlike way.
But perhaps we can replace it with new wonders. Things such as how bright the moon is and how large it appears when it's rising. We've all noticed, for example, the famous moon illusion. The moon looks enormous, doesn't it, when it's first coming up or going down? And there are many aspects of the moon, the harvest moon, that are interesting in and of themselves, even without the old myths that they've displaced.
Okay, because the old myths gave the different moon at different times of the year different names and all that kind of. You mentioned the harvest moon, and then the phrase "once in a blue moon," and of course moons just pop up so often in romantic things. Let me ask you about. We'll take a break for some commercials, and I want to ask you some questions about the space program. Would that be all right with you? Where we go? How far can we go with that? And how much can we explore of this whole Bob Berman area out in outer space?
Great.
Okay, we'll be back in just a minute. Say to make it fascinating is kind of silly because it is a fascinating subject, but you bring it into the lay people's vocabulary and make it easier for most of us to understand. And I really appreciate that because it's an area that many of us find very difficult to tangle with. And yet you became interested in this when you were about practically out of the womb. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me turn you back on. There you go, Bob. I'm sorry.
Yes, it's been a love of my life. Yes, certainly.
Supposedly you had not supposedly, you had said you'd read about every book on astronomy by the time you were 11 or 12 years old, something like that. True?
Yeah, I was one of those impossible kids. With it, it's just about the only subject that I would just go through every library book on, and of course I took all the courses I could at colleges. But by that time, I already thought I knew everything about it, and I came in later years to realize that there's always a lot more that you don't know than that you know. But yes, it has been a lifelong obsession.
You mentioned also that the books written about certain parts of this whole subject, as recently as, say, 20 years ago, pretty much are obsolete now. Is that true?
Oh, yes, that's the marvelous thing. Between the spacecraft voyages to the planets, the Mariner and Viking and Pioneer and Voyager spacecraft that have just rewritten our knowledge, not just our knowledge, even just the aesthetic appreciation of the planets. Uranus and Neptune were just dots 25 years ago. And even the moons, the satellites of these worlds have now become worlds in and of themselves. So yes, planetary astronomy especially, but even the plethora of large telescopes that have been built. Many people still think of Palomar, Mount Palomar as people would call it, as the largest telescope, even though that's been surpassed in the 1970s, and now it's only fifth in size. And we have telescopes twice as large as Palomar. and of course the marvelous Hubble Space Telescope, and all the rest. It's really made any textbook, any book from 20 years ago just belong in the trash bin. Our knowledge of the universe is so totally changed in this time.
As we approach the year 2000 on this new millennium, in the millennium, what do you see and how far can the space program go? And if you were in charge of the space program, would you handle it differently in order to get other bits of information that you think maybe we're not on the trail of?
Well, sure. A lot of people think that the space shuttle is so expensive that it's a bit of a waste. People imagine the astronauts being far out in space, and there's been a public relations program by the government to make us think the astronauts are really exploring the universe, but they're barely above Earth. They're as close to Boston as New York City is. They're barely up. They're barely above the atmosphere. They're only 200 miles up. So considering that our planet is 8,000 miles in diameter, if you can picture a little dot of the spacecraft 200 miles above an 8,000 mile diameter ball, you realize how just barely above the surface they are. We'd like to spend this tremendous amount of money that's now being proposed for a space station whose uses are kind of dubious. Not to say it's entirely wrong and that there aren't people with a different viewpoint on this, but the unmanned probes right now, or the unpeopled probes, or whichever is the correct way to say it, that have been exploring the solar system, the Galileo spacecraft en route to Jupiter, which will be arriving on the first week of December of this year, and the fabulous Voyager craft that have explored Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, and the Cassini craft that will be going to Saturn in a few years. More of these would be marvelous, because these really are changing our perceptions of the universe.
Okay, so you're saying that when we send people into space, that's really a PR gesture and that doesn't do anything?
Well, because we're not really sending anybody anywhere. A lot of us were surprised back when Neil Armstrong said that's one small step for man, one giant leap. Who would have thought back then, 26 years ago, a quarter century ago, that here it would be a quarter century later, and not only would we not go back to the moon, we don't even have any plans to go back to the moon. Of course, the reason for that is that the moon rocks were found to be anhydrous, just bone dry. You can't even squeeze water out of a moon rock. So there's no life-sustaining substance on the moon. We'd have to bring every quart of water that we need with us, and water's pretty heavy to carry. So, and there's nothing valuable on the moon. It has no military value. There's no diamonds, no uranium. So it would be a fantastically expensive water hauling operation to supply a colony on the moon. That's why our next destination is really going to be Mars, so far as bringing people anywhere. And we think in about a quarter of a century, perhaps, we, maybe together with the Russians, will be going to Mars, and that will give everybody an exciting sense of goal or destination. That's probably worth doing. But having people just orbit the Earth expensively, I'm not so sure. We're just not so sure.
You know, this link up with another spacecraft, and all means really nothing. Could we have found out all this, the dryness of the moon and the things you were saying? Could we have found this out without sending somebody to the moon at that time? Was that really, in looking back on it, was that just a waste?
No, I don't think that was a waste, because this was such a, more than a romantic gesture. We all have built into us as humans this desire to explore. When we were kids, we wanted to explore our house, our attic, ride our bicycles in the neighborhood, explore farther and farther away. We have this sense of wanting to explore our environs. And space is our environs, and going to the moon was such an exciting collective thing to do that it was, who could argue that it was worth the money and worth doing that? The only thing is we're not doing that now. We're sending people just 200 miles up, orbiting the Earth over and over again, and accomplishing missions that really could be accomplished, almost all of them, by robotic probes. So we have to find more of a mission for spending this kind of fantastic amount of money that the space shuttle costs. Or else we can simply send robots now. Not to say that we won't someday do it. When our speeds can increase 10 or 20 times what they are now, then we can visit more of the solar system, or perhaps even someday visit the stars. But this is just perhaps not the time for that. This is the time for computer advancements and robot probes to the planets to really tell us what's going on. And maybe we just sense our future destiny and we want to hurry it along a little bit. Maybe that's why we're talking about manned space probes.
Yeah, because you're talking about visiting the stars, and you say the stars are really just gaseous objects, that they're not solids at all, are they?
Right, that's right, like the sun.
So how do we visit the stars?
Well, we wouldn't really visit a star per se. We'd visit planetary systems that we think surround stars. We really don't know, because today's technology is insufficient to detect planets around any star. We assume that the stars of the night sky have planets, and in some cases we see little motions of these stars as if they're being tugged one way and then another by presumably they're planets tugging at them. So there's indirect evidence, but we've never actually seen or imaged a planet around any other star, but we assume that they're there, and it would be on those planets that we would like to explore.
Would it be okay with you if I suggest that maybe people would like to call and maybe ask you questions and talk with you?
That would be fine.
Okay, Bob Berman, who is tremendously knowledgeable, and I don't have to say how interesting he is because you've had a chance to hear that. You can reach him at 617-254-1030, 617, the area code of Boston, 254-1030, and we'll open the lines to people who have questions for Bob, obviously on the subject we're talking about. That's pretty obvious. We'll get back to Bob and take your question just a minute. Woody, who's calling from his car, somewhere around the area. Hi, Woody.
Hi, how are you? Good evening.
Good evening.
Well, I have a good connection. A quick question and a quick comment. The question for your guest is, could he explain, if this is correct, why some of the stars that we see in the sky no longer exist? I'm sorry, and I'll wait for that answer if I can make a quick comment. I'll stay on the air if it's all right.
Sure.
Yes. A lot of people say that, and it's a wonderful thing to say, because even though it's wrong, because it correctly shows that what we see is never what is, but what was. We always see the past, because light, even though it's very fast, takes some time to travel to us, and the stars are, of course, light years away, usually 10, 20, 100, even a couple of hundred light years away, so it takes that amount of time for the starlight to reach us. The reason it's not true is that there is only 6,000 stars visible to the naked eye, and stars typically live for billions of years. So if you actually do the math and figure out what is the chance that even one of those stars has died in the brief couple of hundred years that it took its light to reach us, when they live for billions of years, you'll see that the odds are hundreds to one against even one star of the night sky no longer being there.
Would that also be true? A couple of years ago, I was off the coast of Brazil, near Salvador de Bahia de Brazil, and I was out at sea, and the sky was, anyone who knows on a ship, the sky is packed with stars.
Yes.
Would that still be true then?
Yes, it's surprising. You'd think that there would be millions of stars that wallpaper the rural skies or the skies over a clear ocean or over a desert, but the truth is that the most you'll ever see at one time, even including the little faint ones, are 3,000 stars. Much fewer than most people think.
The other comment, very briefly, and I promise to keep it quick, is insofar as the shuttle goes and humans on board and so forth, isn't it true that the development of optical materials, the development of engineering and research in computers and so forth, that all of those, i.e. the applied sciences, have yielded enormous benefits here on Earth? And I'll hang up and listen to your guest.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot, Woody.
Yes, thank you. It's yielded some benefit. Whether it has yielded the billions and billions of dollars worth of benefit that would justify it, I'm not sure. But the point was a very good one, your first point about the starlight. And it's true, when we look out into space, we're always seeing the past.
Okay, here's Jim, who's here in Boston. Jim, you're on WBZ with Bob Berman.
Good morning, Norm. Good morning, Bob.
Hi, Jim.
We're on vacation in Nova Scotia. I think they call it the Northern Lights. What causes that? And when you see a shooting star, what causes that, please?
Well, a shooting star is just a meteor. It's pretty anticlimactic. Meteors are just, as we said earlier, bits of rock or metal the size of apple seeds that are hitting the air not very high overhead, 30, 40, 50, 60 miles, and burning up into dust. and we're just seeing them burn into dust. But the northern lights, the first part of your question, is something else again. And people who think that we have to go to Alaska or to the North Pole to see them, no way. People who live in the rural skies right around here in New England or upstate New York will see a beautiful display of the aurora borealis every few years or so. And we'll see some display of the northern lights usually once a month or so. So they're actually very common. And up there in Nova Scotia, even somewhat more often. They're caused by broken bits of atoms that come at us from the sun at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Take about 4 days to get from the sun to here. When there is a storm on the sun, which is shown by sunspots, these bits of atomic material cross, and because they're charged, they cross Earth's magnetic field, generate tremendous voltages. We're talking about 2 million amps typically, and with that kind of electricity, they excite atoms in our atmosphere, nitrogen and oxygen, to jump. The electrons jump to higher orbits, and when they cascade back down again, they create the greenish color and the reddish color of the aurora borealis. So that may have been a more long-winded explanation than you like, but that's what causes them, storms on the sun.
Now, that was an interesting explanation.
Thank you.
All
Okay.
set, Jim. Thank you very much. Let's go to John in Wellesley. John, you're on WBZ. Let me see. I think I hit the wrong button here. Hold on just 1 second. Here's John. John in Wellesley. Hi, John.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
I have a question about the creation of the universe. Would that be out of line at this point?
No, why not?
Okay, it's my understanding that the Big Bang theory is one of the theories of creation where everything is expanding away towards outer space. My question is there a point at which it will stop expanding out, and what might possibly happen when it does stop expanding out?
Well, that's the $64,000 question now. What is the destiny of all of us, of every planet and star and creature in this universe? Are we living in a universe that's destined to expand forever? That's kind of gloomy. It's philosophically gloomy, and it's unfortunately the way the evidence is pointing these days toward an open universe, which means that it will expand forever. And that means the star formation and the nebulas that are creating new life and new galaxies will go out, and all we'll have left are cold, dark embers of what were once stars and galaxies hurtling outward in ever greater isolation from one another. That's such a pessimistic outlook, and I shouldn't be editorializing because this is supposed to be science, that many of us hope that the universe actually is closed, which means that the universe will slow and then eventually stop and then come back together again into another, well, cosmic egg, one giant big crunch, and maybe rebound out again. Maybe we live in an oscillating universe that keeps breathing in and out every 60 or 80 billion years, like the old Hindu legend of the breaths of Brahma. Each time maybe with new laws of physics. Maybe next time things will be opposite. Water will run uphill. Taxes will go down every year. Who knows?
I'd like to ask something else along with this, please. What might have existed that exploded in the first place? I mean, if something in and of itself exploded with such force that it created, which if my understanding is correct, that it created the galaxies and everything in the universe, what possibly existed in the beginning that exploded like that to what might have caused it, and what was it with such force that created everything?
Well, that, of course, is another good question, and to answer it scientifically, the usual explanation these days is that the universe was a quantum mechanical fluctuation. In other words, it was we occasionally see things popping into existence on the subatomic level. Given enough time, and presumably the pre-universe universe had plenty of time on its hands, given enough of it, you'd have the creation of an entire universe which would show just the properties that we see, which is a universe expanding at very nearly the rate that matches its tendency to want to slow down and collapse again. But time itself and space itself began at that moment. So it really isn't even a valid question to ask what happened before that, because the time itself began at that moment. However, if we want to play with that, we could say maybe this was the result of a previous collapse from an earlier universe. Maybe we really do live in an oscillating universe model where the universe collapses and then rebounds out again. We don't know how that would happen, but of course we don't really know how this one happened.
Well, thank you very much for your explanation. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Good night, gentlemen.
Good night, John. Thank you for calling. This whole subject is so fascinating, and you really bring it down to the level of even boobs like me. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
And every line is just lit up because everybody wants to talk to you, including Bob, who is in his car right now. Hi, Bob.
Hi, Norm. How you doing?
Good, thanks.
First time caller.
Nice to have you call.
I just have a quick question, and I'll listen on the radio. You mentioned it earlier, the expression of blue moon. And I was wondering what a blue moon was and how often we had one.
Yes. Well, a blue moon's defined as the second...
Okay, why don't I clip you off, Bob, unless you have another follow-up question, do you?
Okay.
Okay, because you're kind of noisy out there. Okay.
Yes, the blue moon is defined as the second full moon in the same month. Since the moon's period of phases is 29 and a half days, and our calendar months, of course, are usually 30 or 31, it'll follow usually once every 2.5 years on average that you'll get 2 full moons in the same month. In fact, if a full moon lands on the 1st or 2nd of a month, there'll normally be a second full moon, and that second full moon is called a blue moon. So usually when we use the expression once in a blue moon, we're talking about something that's a lot rarer than once every 2.5 years, but that's what it is.
But it has nothing to do with the color of the moon or anything.
No, I've never seen, or I've never heard of anyone who's actually seen a blue-colored moon. The moons, of course, are orange or red or yellow when they're rising or setting because we're seeing them through more atmosphere. But blue, no.
Okay, it produced a lovely Rodgers and Hart song, anyway.
A beautiful song,
yeah.
Isn't it?
254-1030, area code 617, if you'd like to talk to Bob Berman. Richard in Shrewsbury. Hi, Richard, you're on WBZ.
Yeah, hi. Mr. Berman, I've been doing some reading on astronomy. I find it the most fascinating subject there is. And what really impresses me is this supergiant star Antares.
Yes.
In the Scorpio configuration.
Yes. Right near
I
Jupiter.
read that it was 850 million miles in diameter.
Yes, that's right.
Right?
That's right.
Well, I mean, compared to the Earth, 7,000 miles. Wow.
Yes, that's right. Which would mean that it would fill our solar system beyond the orbit of Mars and almost to the orbit of Jupiter.
850 million miles in diameter.
Yes, yes. It's just about the largest thing you're going to see this summer. And it's easy for anybody to see. Remember, when we're talking about this book, what we're focusing on are things you can see with the naked eye without any star charts or knowledge. And the brightest thing in the sky these nights is the planet Jupiter. Really, it's a no-brainer. You just look around the sky, you find the brightest star, that's Jupiter. And if you look below and to the left of Jupiter, as you know, I'm saying this for the other listeners, if you look below and to the left of Jupiter, there's a beautiful reddish star, and that's Antares, the heart of Scorpius the Scorpion. So the star we're talking about, this largest thing the naked eye can see this summer, is right there, very obvious, every night.
Then I was also reading about the neutron stars, which they say a cubic inch would weigh 1 million tons.
That's right. That's right. Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
The escape velocity on these stars is so high that it approaches the speed of light. And if any starship captain made the serious error of trying to land on one, they and their rocket would be immediately crushed down into just a thin film of like lubricating oil that would spread itself evenly over the surface.
Go into a black hole, huh?
Oh, it's close to it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Richard.
It's interesting. Thank you.
Appreciate you calling.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, the whole subject is absolutely fascinating. Again, Secrets of the Night Sky, I would think must be available just about everywhere. Is it? But published by William Morrow Company, which is a major publishing outfit. And you got some great pictures in there, great sketches. And it's just, the book is put together just beautifully.
Thank you.
Now, before I let you go, what about... are there other things we ought to be looking for in the sky over the next, say, next month or so?
Well, two really easy, fascinating things are, one is Earth's shadow. At this time of year, it's really easy to see, actually any time of year. Just after sunset, if you look toward the east, if you're near the ocean, you can face a clear horizon, or anytime you have an unobstructed eastern horizon. You look opposite to the sunset. Sunset's in the west, of course, so we're looking in the east. And just at around the time of sunset, there is a dark gray horizontal band that seems to cover the eastern horizon. Most people think this is just simply the darkening of the twilight sky or the beginning of night. But this is called the twilight wedge. And what it is our own shadow, our planet's shadow, Earth's shadow being thrown 1 million miles out into space. And just as each of us casts a shadow in sunlight, our planet casts a shadow. And this shadow is visible every night. Every night at sunset is that dark band in the eastern sky. And as the sun sets further and further, that is in the first 10 or 15 minutes after sunset, this dark band rises up higher in the eastern sky. It's so easy, it's so fascinating, and I don't think one person in 10,000 is aware of it.
You're a fascinating man, Bob Berman, and I really appreciate you coming on. You got to have whetted the interest of people, even people who are just casually interested in the subject, or maybe not at all. Plus, you must have been, I know you've been a great joy to people who have investigated it a little more thoroughly than that. But I hope we could talk, and maybe we talk about the things to look for in the winter sky, and then or the fall sky. You come back for the winter sky and the spring sky and the whole business. But it's been a joy. It's been a joy talking with you, Bob. Thanks a million.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Bob Berman, who's the book is called Secrets of the Night Sky, and it's a great book, even for the casual person who's casually interested in a subject. It's bound to really get you going. Beautifully illustrated, color photographs and all kinds of stuff. And Bob writes in a very simple kind of way that even, as I mentioned, really ignorant people like me, ignorant in the ways of astronomy, find just intriguing. So many interesting ideas that really get you going. Anyway, nice to have you with us. We'll take some calls.
So you know, it's time for the Nathan Show. When the day-to-day world starts to drive you insane, and you feel like you're riding on a runaway train, Norm makes you laugh and keeps spirits bright. Tune in 10:30 and call Norm tonight. Hey, out there in Radio Land, you tuned in on Nathan, and he's at your command. So stay here and listen, then you'll understand. He's a habit you'll never outgrow. But right now, the Nathan Show. I said right now, the Nathan Show. Here's no.
Oh, my goodness sakes, here he is, me. The very lovely and exciting me. Okay, we'll take some calls.
Bedford. His name is John Sanderson. I want to wish him happy birthday because he's 86 or something like that today.
This very day, you're talking about Sunday or Monday? What?
On Sunday.
Okay, his birthday, July 23rd. Happy birthday, big guy.
Yeah. How you been?
I've been just fine, thank you.
The Red Sox lost.
You noticed that?
I heard that. That's
Yeah.
breaks my heart.
Okay, what are you doing down at Boca Raton?
I just come out of the pool, and I wanted to before I turned in for the night, because I have to get up and go to work tomorrow. I wanted to check in with you, check in on my people up in Boston, and see what's going on.
Everything is going
Hey,
fine.
you must be the dean now up there, aren't you? Have people on the air?
I have been on the air for 712 years, and I don't think
anybody on the air in Boston has been on there longer than
there may be somebody in there 713 years. No, I don't. I'm not. Yes, I think so. I think a guy, Gus Saunders, who does a cooking show.
Is he still
one
on?
of the station. Gus still does a show. Yeah, so I think he beats me. He was in before I was. Of course, he looks worse than I do. He's really a shriveled up old guy, fat and really ugly looking.
Well, you eat that much food.
Well, I know that, but sometimes I think age plays very nasty tricks on some people. It's been very good to me because I'm still a good-looking, young, svelte guy.
I know. I've had my picture taken with you before. Did you start at where, WCOP?
Yes, my very first job was was weekends. So strangely enough, I'm right back to that again. Seems like I haven't made any progress. Was weekends? Yeah, WCOP.
Yeah.
That's right. A station that no longer exists.
No.
And my first major full-time job in Boston was WMEX, and that station no longer exists.
Right. Yeah.
And I can name a whole lot of other places I've been at. None of them exist anymore.
But I think if people up there, you mentioned Norm Nathan, they say sound from the night.
Well, I did do that for about 11, 12 years, yeah, way back in the 50s and 60s.
And then
or
I
60s
remember
and
you were
70s.
the first anchor of the all-news WEI, too.
Oh, John, you're going to do my whole biographical sketch, which is really boring. Yeah, I find it even boring to me, and I lived it. No, but I thank you very much. Yes, I did. When WEI went all news in April 1st, 1974, Ben Farnsworth and I were the co-anchors of the morning news, and that's true, and we were both just splendid. And he's now in New York doing great stuff.
And you're still in Boston?
I'm still in Boston.
And I'm down here in Boca.
In Boca Raton, the rat's mouth.
The mouth of the rat. This is correct.
Mouth of the rat. That's right.
Correct. And I invite everybody to come down here. It's wonderful, nice and hot.
Well, we got pretty decent weather, probably similar. Right now it's 75 degrees up here, so it's not too cold.
No, we're probably maybe about 83 right here.
Yeah.
Right here, right now.
Well, I appreciate hearing from you, Big John, and I thank you just so darn much.
Okay, Norm, have a good evening.
You too. Thanks a lot. Ooh, you sounded like you could hardly wait to hang up on me. Okay. 254-1030, area code is the very lovely 617. We'll be around till 1 o'clock, and love to talk with you. Here's Connie in Melrose. Hello, Connie.
I'm very nervous, but
Well, let's just take a deep breath, relax. Everything you're doing, so far you're doing just swell.
Okay. Well, I wanted to tell you that you brought an amazing amount of joy into my life since I got hooked on you with all the laughter. And I'm handicapped, and I couldn't wait for you to come on because of all the laughter, especially the night of Al Jolson. Climb up on my knee, Sonny Boy, remember?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Really?
Oh.
But yeah, it seems to me the last few nights that I've been listening, you're getting on to a more serious vein.
Like what? We were talking astronomy and stuff, which is a fun area.
Yeah.
Which is really kind of fun. What other area do you think we were at that was a little too serious?
Oh, I don't really know, but I just hope that you keep it nice and light.
Well, it is nice and light, but occasionally we want to. I mean, you can take subjects that have some meaning to them and still, be light and have fun with it.
Yeah.
My goodness, Connie.
Well, it seems to me that
we're not.
I'm wrong. I apologize if I'm wrong.
Hold on a minute. Let me check with the kids in the teen canteen, see if they think you're wrong. All those who think that Connie is wrong, would you raise your hands? Okay, it's 127 793 794. Those of you who think she's right, would you raise your hands? Seems to be a draw. Connie, I think you come out right in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, but we there's no reason you can't have fun with something a little more serious. We just don't yell at each other about political things and that kind of stuff, but talking about the skies and space travel and where we might be going in the universe, yeah. I think that's kind of fun. I think that's absolutely intriguing.
That's true, but you see, it seems as though everything is so serious, you can't start your day if you don't read at least about, or even if you watch TV or you hear it on the radio, at least 5 murders. You know that.
Well, we're not talking 5 murders.
No.
We're not even talking 1 murder.
No.
Not even a slight slashing of the face.
No, that isn't what I meant. I'm saying there's so much seriousness, and we're hearing so much about outer space and computer life and sci-fi and all this and that.
Well, aren't you interested in the world that you live in? I think that is so intriguing. I don't know much about that either, and this Bob Berman was able to explain it in such simple terms that even I could understand. I think that's exciting stuff.
Yeah, it is. But I guess, what I wanted to say was I think being handicapped, I looked forward to the laughter that we had, funny things like different ones had caused you when you just get carried away, and I got carried away with you.
Okay, because now we still giggle a whole lot. We do that, Connie. I understand how you feel, and I thank you very much for taking the time to call. You're okay.
Okay, thank you, and God bless.
God bless you too, Connie. And God bless you, everybody, everyone. And have a very happy Christmas.
When shopping for a vacuum...
For all of you, the mathematics people,
Yeah.
here in New England, China is probably directly below us if we could drill a hole straight down. So
Well, people used to say
Antares
that.
was
Yeah.
a planet.
A dot of this whole thing. You're not even a dot. You're nothing. Nothing. I hope
I know.
you realize
know,
that.
So many people, well, in in the Boston area, of course, they can't see anything. They look up, and my God, there's so many lights.
I know it. There really is.
I'm up here in Maine, and of course, it's we have a few lights, but
Now, where in Maine are you?
I'm in Kittery Point.
Oh, Kittery Point. Okay, because you're in a somewhat built-up area to some point. You're
Oh,
on
yeah, it's sort of built up. But,
Yeah.
there's lights around here, so I can't really.
Yeah,
I'm
it's not
an
this-
amateur astronomer.
I can tell by
I love to look at the stars.
I can tell by the way you talk that you know something about what you're saying. You better watch yourself when you start talking and make sense. I don't know I can't handle it. No, that's you're in a pretty area up there too.
Well, you probably can see where you are, where you live. You probably can see stuff much.
Oh, well,
better than I can.
to some point I can because it's out in the woods. But then again, there are a lot of trees and things that kind of block views.
Yeah.
But
Well, I'm right here in the ocean, so.
so there you are. You've got a whole clear view out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can see Jupiter in the southwest skies. Anybody who wants to see Jupiter, follow Don's lead and look in the southwest sky. And
That's what it is.
apparently you can't miss it. It's pretty
just
sharp.
about 15 degrees above the horizon right now.
Okay, as soon as I get out of here, I'm going to look. I wonder if I can see it from the WVZ plush but not overly ostentatious parking lot.
Well, I'll tell you, I gotta go out and buy that guy's book tomorrow. My God.
It's a fascinating book. It really is. And it's beautifully printed and pictured and sketched and written and everything. I know you know a lot more about it than I do, but from my viewpoint, it's a great book to start on. And even I think that people have a great knowledge of astronomy and stuff. I think Secrets of the Night Sky by Bob Berman would be a fun book to have.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Hey, I think you're right too. Don, thank you very much and
Thank you, Norm.
happy Jupiter looking.
Good night now. Thank you.
Okay, Don. Let's go to Steve in Melrose. That's where we'll go. Yeah, Steve in Melrose. Hi, Steve.
Uncle Norm.
Yes.
How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing okay, Steve. How are you doing?
You don't remember me, do you?
Well, so far it's kind of hard to because you haven't
the
said very
wrestling
much.
kid?
Oh, the wrestling kid. You just sort of dropped out of sight there.
I dropped out of sight because I went on to a lot of bigger and better things. You know what I'm saying?
Did you give up? I know what you're saying, big guy. You went on to bigger and better things, and that's what you're saying. I know you're saying that.
I forgot about Norm Nathan.
Oh, did you forget about wrestling too?
No.
Are you still wrestling?
I'm still doing it. Yes, I'm still doing. I've switched to the managing side now.
Oh, you're managing.
Yeah,
Now,
I'm
why did you do that? Did you find that you were washed up as a wrestler yourself?
You know, Uncle Norm. Listen, all right.
Okay.
I figured that I did a managing show where I walked on the ringside with somebody, and I had more fun doing that than actually wrestling.
Oh, good.
So we picked it up as a manager thing, and we just started doing that, and it's just, every place we go, we're getting cokes thrown at us and stuff, so, and I love it.
Wait a minute. Every place you go, you get cokes thrown at you?
I'm getting cokes thrown at me, yeah. So.
And you as a manager, do they hate managers that much?
Well, I go out and I get the crowd going, I get the crowd to hate me. That's my goal. Every time I walk out, if I walk out with, I manage two guys right now, the Pirate, and I manage Zero.
Now, are these both, they're both villains?
They're both bad guys, yes. They're both
okay, they're both bad guys, so you come out. Now, how do you get the crowd angry and get them all souped up for the bad guys?
Well, I'll pick somebody out in the crowd. All right, usually when I walk into a building, I'll look around, and I'll be like, all right, that guy right there, he's going to be involved in this, so I'll pick on him. The person who's involved, I walk right over and I go, shut up, sit down, and I just get it, and then the whole crowd, when I'm walking by, will give me the crap.
Now, do you put your life in danger or anything? Did they ever attack you physically?
I've been attacked before, yes.
Yeah, but
walking out of a building, I've been attacked by Lacage, a wrestler who came in named Lacage.
Oh yeah.
So he attacked me, and we didn't know what this kid was doing, and he attacked me, and then afterwards I see him in the locker room 3 months later. I'm like, aren't you the kid that attacked me that time? He goes, yeah.
And then you were all friends again or something?
After he attacked me, wanted to get into professional wrestling, so I was like, all right, you know.
Oh, that's kind of funny. Now, how are your two wrestlers doing?
My two wrestlers, the Pirates, not doing too bad. Zero's a zero. I mean, he's a... I got another guy I manage, Mike Morrison, who's not doing too shabby. He's pretty good. The Pirate, you know, they're pretty good. I'm going for bigger and better things, though, you know.
What are you going for? Well,
I'm back up in this area. I'm going to be doing a lot of work with the greatest wrestling organization in this area. That's the Century Wrestling Alliance, the CWA. You see a poster that says CWA, you go out and see that show, you're going to get a great professional wrestling show.
Really?
Yes, you are. You're going to get, they have shooting stars, nothing but shooting stars in this organization.
Yeah, and this is the headquarters of it, right in this area?
Yes, in this area it is. Nothing but shooting stars, Norm. These people are going to be, they're the greatest wrestlers I think I've seen in a while.
Where can you see these wrestlers?
They're everywhere. They're the local organization that goes to the high schools and everything like that.
Yeah.
And they're great. They really are. You got some great wrestlers. You got the Dungeon Master, who's... I keep away from this man. You got the Boston Bad Boy, Tony Rumble, Tony Atlas. I mean, you're going to get a good show, Norm. You really are.
Sounds good.
You know, you really are.
Great. I'm so glad to talk to you again.
How's everything with you?
Okay, last time, one of the first times I talked with you, I guess you were still in high school.
I was still in high school and I was doing it, yep.
Yeah, well, that's not that long ago.
I'm 22, Norm.
You're still a young punk kid there, Steve.
I'm not a punk anymore, Norm.
No, I'm just joking. You never were a punk, but you're still obviously you're still a young guy.
You do a lot of growing up when you go to hotel to hotel, living out of a suitcase. You really do.
Yeah, so you do a lot of traveling. Your folks miss you a lot. They like what you're doing.
Oh, they're glad I'm out of here. What are you kidding me?
They
I come home, they're like, oh, you're back.
Oh, they said we were thinking of moving and not telling you the forwarding address, and we've rented out your rooms to get out of here. Is it that serious?
Well, my parents. I talked to my parents one night. I was out in Chicago, the Windy City out in Chicago. And I was talking to them. They go, oh, we miss you and all this stuff. And I had a show the next night. So I flew them out for the show. Paid for the tickets, put them up and everything.
What a nice sport you are, big guy.
So that was great having them there with me.
Oh, that's right. Oh, they must have been so proud.
Oh, they're worried I'm going to get hurt, you know.
Yeah, I'm worried that you're going to get hurt, too. You go into a crowd and you start picking on people.
Well, what can you
You're
do?
kind of asking for trouble there, Steve. I think of you kind of my son, too, so be careful.
I'd never let you down, Uncle Norm.
No,
You know that.
Please don't, because I count on you.
I'm the greatest manager to walk the face of the earth. You're the greatest radio broadcaster that ever was, ever will be.
Would you believe that the two of us now, due to the fates, the gods have paired us together in one amazing, earth-shaking broadcast?
The powers have brought us together.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying, brother?
I know what you're saying, pal.
They brought us together.
Okay. Hey, keep in touch, Steve.
I will. I'll give you a buzz. I'm home for about a month now. I'll give you a buzz before I leave again.
Okay, thanks a lot.
All right, Uncle Norm. You be good.
You too, Steve.
Okay, pal. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. That's kind of funny. Steve would set up wrestling bouts, in his own, or either in his own yard, I forgot, or yards near him. And Jay's just been crazy about the whole wrestling field ever since he was in high school. And he went into wrestling. He studied wrestling for a while, professional wrestling, and was going to do that. And now he's become a manager. He's he's quite a nice kid. It's good to hear from him. Well, you know how darn nice it is to talk to you, you little adorable cutie.
You mentioned Dorothy Parker last night. Now,
yes.
I don't know, perhaps I'm repeating something that you said after I fell asleep. But one of my favorite stories about Dorothy Parker is when she was a critic on the New Yorker. And she was reviewing one of Katharine Hepburn's early plays, and said she ran the gamut of emotion from A to B.
That's right, I remember that too. One of the quotes that we mentioned here yesterday was I had on was it yesterday or the day before? Anyway, was a fellow who put together these interesting quotes by a lot of people, funny lines and all that. And one other quote that he had for Dorothy Parker, the great critic and writer and stuff, was she said, if all the girls who went to the Yale prom were laid end to end, I wouldn't be a bit surprised.
She also, when she was challenged to use the word horticulture in a sentence, said you can lead a horticulture, but you cannot make her think.
That's fantastic. That's really great.
And when she was reviewing a book by A.A. Milne, you remember A House on Pooh Corner from your childhood?
Oh, yes, yes.
Reviewing that, she said, at this point, Constant Weeder flowed up.
No, that's why Weeder thrown up. No, that's fun. Now, she had some great stuff, and I guess it was my friend Helena from Belmont was talking about her, too, and was mentioning the Viking book, was it, or something? A complete book of, I guess it is the complete of Dorothy. You have that of a lot of Dorothy Thompson's writings. I do want to kind of go over them again, because I think she just wrote so beautifully. It was so much fun. And we were talking about the old Algonquin round table at the Algonquin Hotel in New York, where she and Robert Benchley and who was it, George S. Kaufman, and a whole, like about 20 or 30 of these incredible brains would gather all the time and sit around and talk with each other. And I guess there was a lot of nastiness in a way, too, because a lot of them weren't all that great, so far as social relations were concerned, but they tremendous brains and wit. But just to sit there, imagine if you could press a button and be sitting at the Algonquin Round Table with these people, going to recreate those moments. Wouldn't that be something?
Oh, it would be great. I have a book about them, and it's called Four Merry Gentlemen and One Lady.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Let's see, I've had it sometime. I could send it to you if you'd like to have it.
Would you do that for me,
Jane?
Jane?
I will. Let me get a pencil here and get you.
Okay, fair enough. I'm willing to hang in for a pencil if I had a book like that, yeah?
Sure, okay.
Okay, you have a pencil already?
Yes, I do, Norm.
Okay. Norm Nathan, Nathan. You know that part anyway, I guess. Okay. WBZ Radio. BZ Radio. Be sure to put radio, because if it gets into television, as you know, on the WBC television side, they don't come closer. They don't know how to read there. So they won't even recognize it as a book, and who knows what they'll do with it. Probably slice it up and serve it in the cafeteria. So make sure it's WBZ Radio, 1170-1170.
Yeah.
Soldiers Field Road.
Soldiers.
Field Road. In the heart of the brothel country. I made that up. I'm trying to make this place look more interesting than it really is. Boston, Massachusetts, of course, 02134.
02134.
Oh, that would be so nice if you would do that, Jane.
Sure, I would. I'll do that. I'll send that off tomorrow.
Hey, you're okay, big lady.
Oh, one more thing about Dorothy. I forget where I saw this, but I like this one. When a friend of hers came back from London, and she was showing off a little and using a British accent, and she kept referring to her schedule, and her schedule wouldn't allow her to do this and wouldn't allow that. Finally, Dorothy said, "Oh, skip."
I don't know how many got that, but maybe you better not explain it. But that's very, very funny too. Oh, I admire witty people, sharp people, bright people. They're so much fun, because most of the time you talk with people and they use every cliche like, "Boy, I bet it's hot enough for you, huh?" And then they laugh like they just thought of some brilliant line. And most of the time, I suppose we all do that. We all go through life saying these inane, banal things that have been said. Banal or banal? That'd be dumb things anyway. You see them over and over again. And here are these people who come up with new thoughts all the time. What a lovely thing.
Wonderful.
Okay, I'll look for the book, Jane.
All right, Norm.
Hey, thanks a lot.
Good to talk to you. Bye.
Bye-bye. I love to talk about how people come up with stupid lines, because that makes me feel like I come up only with brilliant ones, and that's really not true either. Okay, Helen in Malden. Hey, how you doing, Helen?
Oh, great. And this is the first time I've ever called you, but I listen to you a lot. I just wanted to tell you that I looked out the window to the southwest.
You saw Jupiter?
No, I couldn't see anything. I guess too many trees are in the way.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
But this is the good part. I just came from the southwest. I just came home today. I was in Arizona, and on our way back from seeing the sunset at Grand Canyon, we stopped. We had to stop because the sky was so beautiful, and we did see Jupiter.
Oh, you did see Jupiter
in Arizona.
Yeah, you had to go all the way to Arizona and the Grand Canyon to see Jupiter. No, but that is a great place to see it, because the land is generally so flat.
Yes, well, in this particular section it was, yes.
Oh yeah, because as they call, I guess, Montana, even in the hilly section, that is the western part of Montana, which is the Rockies, they still call that the land of the big sky.
Yes.
And until you go to that part of the country, That may not mean anything to you, that saying, but suddenly there's sky all over the place.
That's right, that's right.
Oh, that's beautiful. You must have enjoyed yourself.
Oh, yes. Just one more thing.
Well, you can even do 2 more things. It's okay.
Oh, great. Well, you know, you're always mentioning different stations here in the east, and they all begin with W. Out there, they all begin with K. Do you know what the K stands for? I don't.
No, I don't know that it stands for anything. I think different parts of the country, stations begin with different letters just to identify where they are. For example, we have a couple of stations in the eastern part that do begin with K also, but that's because they go back that far, like KYW Philadelphia, KDKA Pittsburgh. But aside from that, it's mostly W here, K there. Canada, they begin with C. Mexico, the call letters begin with X.
Oh, my.
You know, it's to identify geographical areas. There's nothing terribly significant about it beyond that.
Yes. Well, I'm sorry I didn't hear the astrology program you had on, but I just got in about 8:30, 9 o'clock, and
I was about to mark you absent, but you're going to pass the course, so don't worry about it.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, thanks, Ellen.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take some more calls in a bit. 254-1030.
It's so interesting.
Thank you.
I had a couple fiddly jokes, and this lady that several callers ago you had, hers are really great.
Okay, I'm ready for your jokes.
And then I want to say something else. You've got this 11-year-old niece of yours.
That's right, yeah, that's right, Hillary.
She's fantastic to listen to.
She is, isn't she? She's such a bright little kid. Most bright little kids really bother me because I think, boy, is she obnoxious.
Sounds beyond her
but
years.
this one, isn't that obnoxious about it? She just still sounds sweet and very bright.
Yeah.
I'm glad you think that highly of a member of my family.
Now, on the astrology program here, reminded me of the World War II when I was in the 1st Marine Division aboard ship in the South Pacific, floating all over the place. And of course, your ship is totally dark at night. So you're not bothered by other lights, and you can see the sky from one end to the other. And there is nothing like it. And those 3,000 stars you could see at one time he talked about, I've seen those, and it's something you never forget.
Oh, I know. That is one of at least one of the nice byproducts of what had to be an awful experience for you, really a rough experience back then.
Oh, it came out okay, though.
Yeah, I guess we know what the final chapter was.
Here's my nickel and dime jokes.
Okay.
Okay. I'd say the best way to serve spinach is to someone else.
Hey, the best way to serve spinach is to someone else. Yes, sir.
Okay. Number 2.
Okay.
A couple of fellows were talking about someone who was deceased, and one of them was a little outspoken on his dislike for him. And the other one said, now, you shouldn't say anything about the dead but good. So the first guy said, okay, he's dead. Good. Now, I'll finish with this and you'll be glad.
Okay. Is that the last one that you had?
Very short one here.
Okay, another one. Okay.
Nostalgia ain't what it used to be.
That sounds like a Yogi Berra thing where he was the one who said, "It's deja vu all over again." Something like that same kind of line. Right. Hey, Bill, where are you in Michigan?
Houghton Lake, about 100 miles north of our state capital of Lansing.
Oh, yes, I recall. Yeah. I recall not because I've been there, because I never have.
Well, but we talked. Fishing, we talked. Boating, we got it.
Okay, because we talked before, and you mentioned that area up there.
Yes, it's delightful.
And you're delightful, too, and I thank you very much, Big Bill.
Thanks again.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Okay, 254-1030. It's about 1:45. There's no one in this place except, let's see, those of us having fun. Anyway, 254-1030, area code 617. I'd love to hear from you. We'll be on just for another 15 minutes or so. Bob Raleigh will keep you company during the rest of the night. So if you feel like talking right now to me, that would be nice. Here's a story on what is a bagel. Did you ever wonder about that? You probably never wondered about that, Earl. Don't look at me like that. Oh yeah, I've often wondered. You're just coming on to me when you do that. Bagel appears to be making a place for itself inside America's pantry, because it used to be pretty much of an ethnic food, the bagel. But I guess everybody knows what it like bulky rolls and bagels and all that kind of stuff. Kind of has moved into the general middle-of-the-road category. According to there's a trade journal called Modern Baking. That's a trade journal for everything, isn't there? No matter what business you're in, there's a trade journal. At least, anyway, according to that, to Modern Baking, at least half of all Americans know what a bagel is, which may seem like even more ought to know. But 20 years ago, in the 80s, well, I guess that's not 20 years ago, 10 years ago, only 20% knew what a bagel was. Now half the people know what it is. So starting to move in. There's probably a message here, and I'm not quite sure what it is, and if I knew what it was, I'm not sure I'd even care. But for those who don't know, a bagel is a leavened, donut-shaped roll, often eaten with cream cheese. Some people put little stakes in their lawn and shoot bagels at it. But then again, maybe not too many people do that, now that I think of it. The origin of the bagel is in dispute. One story says a Jewish baker in Austria created the ring-shaped roll in 1683 to resemble a stirrup, to pay tribute to the horse-crazy king of Poland. Another account holds that bagels were designed as edible teething rings for infants in 17th century Poland. I guess most people seem to feel that that's where the origin was, in Poland. Today, bagels are used for breakfast, bread, lunchtime sandwiches, and snacks. Excuse me, hold on a sec. It wasn't as interesting as I thought it might be. So what I do is, in order not to allow this to fall into the hands of some unsuspecting broadcaster, we just get rid of it totally right at that point. Okay, let me hear from you anyway. This is kind of quiet now. If you care to call, that'd be good. Boy, I'd love to hear from you. Oh, golly cheekers, I would. Oh, yes. I mention that because I guess this past week, she joined a select group of entertainers who, as the only woman to have won an Oscar, Emmy, Grammy, and a Tony, finally gotten a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. I was trying to think of who the others were. The Oscar, of course, for movies, the Emmy for television, Grammy for records, and a Tony for Broadway. Helen Hayes was another one, wasn't she? I think it was Helen Hayes. And she won a Grammy, that is a record thing, not for having sung anything, but for having did a narration that was recorded, I guess. But I think there might have been a couple of others, too. I don't know if you know the answer to that. Maybe give me a call in the next couple of minutes and let me know. I'd forgotten who else did that. But isn't that something? I mean, most of us go through life without winning anything. And here's a lady that's won every one of those things. And I don't know how well known she is. I suspect she's not all that well known. Okay. Let me take one more call before we say goodbye. Karen is out in Ohio, and I'm glad to talk with you, Karen.
Hi, Norm. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. Where in Ohio are you, Miss Karen?
Toledo.
Toledo?
I just want to give my sympathies about your wife's death.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
I just happened to hear a commercial in the 617 area. I just have to remember the 254. Is that the right number, 254-1030?
254-1030 is absolutely correct, and 617 is the area code. That's correct, yes.
Yeah, I just had my little portable radio on my hip. I was listening to you before you go off the air, because I know you go off at 1.
Yeah, we go off the air in just a few minutes, as a matter of fact. You're in Toledo, is that what you said?
Yeah,
Do they still make lots of scales in Toledo?
I guess.
You don't know, eh?
Yeah, I don't know. You know.
You're our Toledo correspondent. If you could check that out, we'd appreciate it.
Yeah, well.
What do you do in Toledo?
Well, I am a volunteer worker.
For what?
Over at my church in St. Pius, and I sing in the funeral choir. I do funerals and stuff. I'm on funeral call all the time.
Oh, that must be a cheery kind of thing to do.
Yeah, I'm used to it. I got 7 years experience.
Yeah, so deaths don't mean anything to you. Say, well, there's another death. Well, too bad.
Yeah,
but,
well, it's part of life.
I guess that
What kind of cancer did your wife die of?
Pardon me?
What kind of cancer did she
Oh,
die?
well, I'd just soon not go through all that. That's kind of a grim subject, don't you think, to dissect the kind of cancer she died of?
Yeah.
It was cancer, and she died almost 4 years ago, so it's a while back.
Been 4 years already?
Yeah, November will be 4 years, that's right.
Wow.
No, I appreciate you asking, but you can understand why I don't want to get into a whole medical thing about that. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, it mattered at the time, but right now it really doesn't matter at all. I hope you're healthy and everything, and I hope you have not too many funerals to sing at, although you probably would like them. You never know, and you're probably looking forward. Do you look at the obituary column and say...
Oh, yeah, first thing I look at. I'm on funeral call. I set the funeral mass up at my church.
So you look at the obituary and say, hey, look at this death. I'm going to have a chance to sing again.
Yeah, how about that?
And you get all the... You're really getting excited about that.
Yeah.
Oh, God, you're...
I'm glad I got to touch you in person finally.
Well, I'm glad too, Karen. Anyway, it's about time to sign the program off, and I think not a moment too soon.
Yeah.
So thanks a lot for calling. That's really nice. Oh, jeez. It's nay. Anyway, we're coming up to 1 o'clock here at the WBZ. She sounded really cheerful about this. The first thing I look at is the obituaries. Yeah, whoopee-doo. Oh, look at this. I'm going to be singing. I'm on call. Anyway, on behalf of all of us here, Hope Shower and the lovely Marilyn Gorelick, myself, the almost good-looking Norm Nathan person, have a good week. We'll see you at the end of the week. Won't that be nice?
Yes, it would be, Norm. And we all couldn't wait. Without further ado, can you guess the voice in this commercial for CVS Photo?
Be a happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
$10 for noisemakers because 15 8-year-olds just aren't loud enough.
Happy birthday, dear Bobby.
$20 for a cake that should say Bobby, not Robbie.
Happy birthday to you.
$15 for helium balloons.
While birthdays can be expensive, the pictures from them don't have to be. Not with CVS Photo Finishing. CVS always offers the choice of a free second set of 4-inch jumbo prints or a free roll of film. CVS even offers a free 5x7 color enlargement coupon every day, so you'll have money left over for things like
Happy birthday to you.
More birthdays.
CVS, just what you're looking for.
Now, maybe that wasn't much of a test, but leave a comment below with your answer. Closing the vault and leaving this world a little sillier than we found it. For Bob Berman, Secrets of the Night Sky, William Morrow Publishing, Astronomy and Astronomers, the Perseid Meteor Showers, Synthetic Nights, The Subtlety of Changes. Full Moon Callers is a real thing, by the way. I disagree with Bob on that. I can document it. Definitely 2 days before and 2 days after it can last. Absolutely true, having taken calls for Norm and David Brudnoy and Bob Raleigh and, countless of other Peter Mead and John Keller and Lavelle Diet and, yeah, it's true. It really is. Old myths. The space shuttle. Unpeopled probes. Never what it is, but what was. The Northern Lights, excited atoms, storms on the sun, blue moons, Antares, the Twilight Wedge, Linda Chase and Dave Currier. Back from where we started. WCOP, WMEX, Sounds in the Night, WEEI, Ben Farnsworth. Norm bringing amazing amounts of joy to listeners' lives. The Kids in the Teen Canteen. The world that you live in. Guy-fi? Shopping for a vacuum. Talking and making sense? Plush, but not overly ostentatious. The Pirate, Zero, and Mike Morrison. Getting attacked by La Cage. The CWA, Century Wrestling Alliance. The Dungeon Master, the Boston bad boy Tony Rumble. Tony Atlas. The Fates and the Gods. Dorothy Parker. Signal Drift. The folks at WBZ-TV who can't read. Brothel Country. Schedules. Norm's niece Hillary. Nickel and dime jokes. Bagels. Modern baking trade publication. On call for the funeral choir. Steve, the wrestling manager kid from Melrose. Hope Shower, Jack Hart, Marilyn Gorelick, and the man who will always be our dean of Boston broadcasting, Norm Nathan. I'm Tony Nesbitt.
1170, 1170.
Yeah.
Soldiers Field Road.
Soldiers.
Field Road. In the heart of the brothel country. I made that up. I'm trying to make this place look more interesting than it really is.